Hello. I just invited Sue DeCaro. I want to see if she's on. Hold on. No, I don't think it's working. Hold on. Let's see what happens here. Are you there? How come I don't see you? Add. I don't see you. Now let's see here. Add you. I'm sorry, I'm new at this, so I don't know how it works. And so I just added. Are you coming on, Sue? It says adding. Can you hear me? It says adding. Are you coming on? I'm so sorry for the little mess up here. There you go.
Here I am.
You got it.
Yay.
Oh my God, that was the first time
We did it.
this. Yes, we did. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, okay, great. So let's go. Oh, great. I just got people are on as well. That's great. So
Awesome.
Before we start, I just like to talk about this new book that's coming out. That I am the author of this book, Co-Parenting in Harmony, Creating a Ripple Effect. It's my story as a childhood going through my parents' divorce, chaos that was damaging. I know damaging is a big word, but it was damaging to me, and it created its ripple effect in my childhood as well as in my adulthood. And also in this book, I have many contributors who decided to share their story as well, so they can help inspire and demystify the co-parenting and how it can be done when you leave your emotions aside, and it can be successful. It can happen. So here I am today to introduce you to Sue DeCaro. Thank you, Sue, for being here. I truly appreciate it. Thank you so much. Sue is a mom of 2 bio kids, also a bonus mom of 3 beautiful bonus children, and she's also a grandparent, a nana of a 3-year-old child. Sue was married for 22 years and divorced, right, Sue? Am I correct here?
You're absolutely correct.
This is her personal life. I just like to make a little highlight on her professional life. Sue is a certified parent coach who supports parents and family as well. Isn't it amazing how now this co-parenting field is expanding to bring so much awareness for divorced parents, because divorced parents do need help. They do need how to become more skillful in this new co-parenting arrangement. So welcome on board. Thank you for contributing your story, and let's move on. So my first question is, probably as well, I just want to mention there's going to be people that might ask some questions. So I hope you don't mind if we have people.
Not at all.
Okay, great. So my first question to you, first I want to know, did you have 50-50 shared parenting time?
That's a great question. So it wasn't quite 50-50. The children lived more with me than with my ex-husband. And it changed as they got older for a variety of reasons, which I'm sure we'll get into.
Okay, so that means, does that mean that one weekend you had them, the father of your children had them like 2 weekends in a month?
He did have them 2 weekends in a month and 1 day during the week. So the majority of time they were with me. Okay.
So the famous question that we ask many parents, divorced parents who are co-parenting, what was the hardest part in learning to co-parent, Sue?
You know, that's a great question, and I guess we could say it's a loaded question. But I think one of the hardest things for me and for many parents is the fact that it's not about us anymore. So, you know, when we divorce or separate, one of my dear friends at the time said to me, Sue, this is no longer about you. It's all about the children. And I will never forget her saying that. It brings chills to me right now, even repeating it, because when we divorce, there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of emotions, there's a lot of trauma, underlying currents that just affect us. And yet we still have to be parents to these beautiful children. So I think separating my own emotions and allowing myself to focus on my children, their needs, and not take the anger out on anyone or play the role, as I'm sure you know how this is done, and play the role of troublemaker, so to speak, between my children and their dad, or just create a rift, because in the end we are toxifying our children by dumping that stuff on them. They are innocent bystanders in the whole realm of divorce or separation.
But how did you? Excuse me, but how did you do it? How were you able to separate these emotions? I mean, maybe I'm going over my head by saying you hated your ex at the time, you despise him and all. So how did you separate those emotions just to focus on the kids? How did you do that?
I think my kids were my greatest teachers. I do remember a couple of times saying something that probably wasn't so nice, and my youngest daughter saying, "Mom, that isn't nice." And there was a couple of times that came out where I thought, what am I doing? This is just awful. They're not part of the whole toxicity that I had going on with my ex. And I wasn't in a hateful situation.
Okay.
We actually parted ways, stressfully, but I think most of it was in a peaceful situation. There was only a few things we disagreed on. They were big things, but we moved through them. So it was a constant day-to-day reminder, Anna, to myself of, this isn't about my children. How can I create, more peace in myself? Because it's not healthy for us either to live in a situation where we are angry and frustrated and not comfortable with the situation, or angry at our, ex, and taking it out on everybody and everything. I mean, we know how that energy spills out. It's like a volcano. And so
but you're aware of that now. People who are stuck
so
in this
I worked
tornado.
very hard on myself day in and day out to catch myself when I was about to spill, to refocus my attention on my needs, to take, good care of myself. So those are the ways. And it's moment to moment. I mean, for any parent listening that's going through this, it's moment to moment. Be kind to yourself during this situation, because it takes a lot of kindness.
It is a day by day, but especially, after 22 years of marriage, to separate emotionally, financially, physically, mentally. I mean, I'm sure it wasn't easy. I'm sure it was difficult to really make that split, to really, separate and really focus on the kids. It must have been really, it must have been hard on you, and as well as on the father of the kids.
Very difficult. And I think one of the things that I learned from my kids is that it was really hard on them too.
Okay.
And so at the beginning of all of this, I lost sight of my kids. And you feel like it's just about you and you're the only one going through this. And so you lose sight of folks.
We're having a bad connection here.
Is it my connection?
We're having a bad connection. Can you shift your phone a bit? Is it possible? Can you change a bit the angle?
Sure. How's that?
Please, because we're having I didn't hear the last couple of lines that you mentioned.
I have a strong signal here. Can you hear me?
Okay, somebody just wrote to me, says, I can hear you, Anna, but I cannot hear Sue. Voice problem. Okay, how about now? Can you hear me? Can someone tell us if you can hear us? Okay, all good now. So I guess the
Okay.
angle that you changed was good. Okay, I have how did the kids how did it was it affecting how did it impact the kids, this divorce and this you know, when, you know, on the weekends they only saw their dad, how did that impact the kids?
You know,
Thank you, people. Thank you, Rick, for letting us.
it was very challenging
Sorry.
for them. One of my kids had a really difficult time relating it all to their dad. The other one of my kids has a really hard time leaving what they call the family home. You know, they stayed with me in the family home, and that was their home. And so, you know, one of the things that they brought to my attention is that I have no idea, me, the mom, I have no idea what it's like to be uprooted every other weekend, the middle of the week, to a different location and a different home with different rules. Let's face it, you know, two different parents, we do have different rules too. Maybe that's some of the issues, right? With many parents. So they were instrumental in helping me learn that this is not easy. By their outbursts, by their emotions, by the tears, you know, packing up their bags, feeling like they had to take their entire, you know, belongings with them to move to a different location. So,
Okay.
you know, I think realizing that in our children and addressing that with them, not letting it be the elephant in the room and not comforting them and being compassionate, that's enormous. That compassion is enormous. Listening to what it's like to be them. Because yes, we're the one divorcing as two adults, but we're affecting our children too.
For sure, 100%. That's why this book is so important. We needed to get
Exactly.
help. I wanted to ask you also, was there any bad mouthing going around, like, you know, during your divorce and separation? Because that affects a lot the kids, and it affects, and that's how their behavior becomes really erratic and they failed in school and all that. I know I'm a witness to that. It happened to me. So, you know, you can answer if you like, honestly,
Oh,
authentically, if you
sure.
don't. But was there any bad mouthing going around for the children to feel the way they felt?
You know, I think we were pretty careful. Sure, there were slip ups. I slipped up, you know, I'm the first to admit I'm certainly not perfect. And again, you know, my youngest was very instrumental in, you know, holding up the mirror and saying, that's not nice, you know, showing me, reflecting back to me
Oh,
that, you know, that's not a nice thing to say. And, you know, there may have been through the last 10, 15, 10, 12 years, I guess it's been maybe about 12 years, there's probably been, you know, a handful of times where she's had to say that to me. I'm
a
human
lot.
too. I'm human too. And I'm imagining on the flip side, she probably has said that as well to her father. So we really try hard not to badmouth. You know, both of us, we don't have a discussion about it, but we try to keep things as pleasant as possible and have always tried. And be courteous to one another too. We don't
For sure.
hate each other. We don't hate each other. We just
Good.
aren't right for each other.
Well said. Not compatible. That's how I said it.
Exactly.
You know, how I expressed it in the book about my mom and dad. They were just not compatible. After 25 years of marriage,
Yeah.
they divorced as well. And you know, after growing up and understanding all, I don't believe in failures. I don't believe in the word failing. I believe more it's experiences, not so good experience, good experiences. And so through all my experiences, what I went through, I finally understood they were just not compatible. They were just not made for each other. And so I wanted to ask you also, which is also a very important question that people often ask me, how did you, you had bonus children. How did you cope with the bonus children?
That's a loaded one.
Thank
um,
you so much for your honesty, Sue.
yeah,
I
it's,
truly,
you know, I think I have to say, I think I did a good job because they did not accept me.
they did not. Okay, so there was bad mouthing going around.
Well, it just wasn't, there just wasn't acceptance. So, you know, the youngest at that time was probably about 10. And then, you know, was she about 10? Yeah, about 10. The other one was maybe 18, 17. And the oldest was in their 20s. And so, you know, only the 10-year-old came to our home, you know, every other weekend when I was remarried. And it was hard for her, not because I'm a monster or I'm, you know, too strict or I'm anything, but because her loyalty was to her mom. And I think it was very hard for the other two because they didn't want me in their lives. And so one of the things that I did for myself was to not attach to any of it. And
Oh,
again, it wasn't easy, but I could see the writing on the wall. you don't want me in your life, and I can't do anything about it. Here I am. And I think when you have a partner and you're looking at these situations, and maybe you've written about this as well, and it's you have to talk about it. You have to talk about
Exactly.
it. So I
Exactly.
didn't parent his kids. He didn't parent my kids, even though my kids lived with me and he was here. And so, really being attentive and being conscious of their emotions, and that it's not about me. I mean, this is not personal. It's not personal. It's their own journey and their own life. It wasn't like me,
No,
I'm a bad person. So I
no, not at
accepted
all.
that.
But the dynamic within the family must have been difficult then. And I mean, if you don't parent his children or vice versa, the dynamic must have been really difficult. And the atmosphere must have been really, walking on eggshells.
A little bit. I tried not to, because I didn't want to do that for my own kids, and I didn't want to do that for, a stepchild either. And so really just focusing on what I could do to be supportive. And it wasn't easy. She didn't enjoy being here, and, I couldn't change that. We tried
Did
really hard. We tried really hard to help her, but, making it comfortable for her. My kids went overboard in supporting her, and it wasn't really about us. This is just not
no,
where
well,
she wanted to be.
the experience that I can tell you is that the mother must not have been accepting of you. So that's what happened to the child. That's what happens. See, well, that's what happens to the children. And they miss out on such beautiful, loving people like you are, like I am, like so many of us. Like we're here, we are an addition to this family, because
Right.
I'm also a bonus mom as well.
Yeah.
And so I had a conversation with my bonus son's mom, and I told her once, I said, listen, I am not your enemy here. you know your child, when your child is under my care, which we had 50-50 shared custody, I will do everything in my power to love this child, to make sure everything, he will not miss out on anything. So I am not your enemy here. I am your soul sister. I am
I love it.
sister. I am here to help you feel comfortable, that you can sleep at night, put your head on your pillow and say, oh my God, my child has been taken care of, not only by his dad, but also by his bonus mom as well. And so by having these discussions, it helped a lot. It helped a lot alleviate the pressure, the feeling threatened, because I'm not there to replace anybody. I'm just an addition. And and like you, I'm sure you brought out some good points about you, of who you are, and I'm sure you contributed so many beautiful things to these children. And it's a shame that they were not able to see it, because honestly, they were blinded by their bio mom. They were blinded by their bio mom.
Yeah, you're probably right. And, I love the way you put that, bonus children, because they're not they're not false children, or, I just love that word, bonus children. And,
Yes.
I think the important thing is they've all grown, and they're all different now, so we don't have a close relationship, but we have a stronger relationship than ever before. And, sometimes maturity has to run its course before children are able to look at another person in their life in an accepting way. And, it's not easy. It's not easy. Sitting back and waiting is very difficult, but, you can't attach to the outcome, because it's not under your control. All
No,
you can
well,
do is
none of
do
it.
your best.
Even our bonus, yeah, even our bio children as well.
Exactly.
Eventually, yeah, eventually they grow up and they have their own opinions, and you say
Right.
what you can, but they move on and they do what they got to do. I have another question for
Sure.
you, and I wanted to. Did you have a co-parenting plan? Did you build a co-parenting plan? I guess it didn't exist then 22 years ago, right, or 30 years ago. However, like you just had a divorce agreement and you just followed the divorce agreement. That was it.
Yeah, that's it. We had it, I guess it was called a custody agreement at that time. And that's what we followed in terms of the scheduling. We did talk, about various things. If the kids wanted to stay with me for, Mother's Day, for example, and it was his weekend, we talked about that. One of the things that I found difficult was to have phone conversations,
Okay.
because they got emotional, and I found myself getting heated by the same things that I was heated during the marriage. And so, I guess my offering to those listening that may be going through this is find a way that you can communicate that works for you. And so I shifted from making a quick phone call, which I thought would be quick to try to get something solved, to sending an email to address, it's Mother's Day. Would you mind if I kept the children? So it just was less lengthy, less emotional, and it was just a better way for us to communicate. And so find that way that works for you, that doesn't really affect, your emotions and your ability to move forward. So we were fairly flexible with one another in trying to make things work. If I had a wedding or something to go to, he would take the children, and it worked out really well.
Do you meet now today? Like now that you have a beautiful granddaughter, are you able to be in the same room together?
Yes, not only am I able
Wow.
to be in the same room, but I have had my ex and his wife over for a luncheon for something, I forget what it was, to my home. We've gone for, dinners, meals together in the past as well. Yeah. And, you just have to put the emotions aside. You have to really check in with yourself before you
Correct.
go into the room so that you can prepare yourself for how you want to show up. And it's not easy, and especially in a tense relationship. But as my friend said, it's all about the kids. And so when you show up in a room, imagine your children, how excited they are that they can see mom and dad in the same place, respectfully. And that's the
Respect.
key.
You
Respect.
know, I always say whatever the person triggers within you, it's because it's something that you haven't dealt yet with
Yes.
yourself, right? Do
Yes.
you agree with that?
I
I have a question
totally
for
agree. Hmm.
we have one of our viewers who sent us a question. Were there any problems with the extended family where your parents were able to treat her ex as she did, or were they angry? Okay, let me repeat this. Were there any problems with the extended family where her parents able to treat her ex as she did, or were they angry?
That's a great question. My parents were very supportive of me, but did not have a lot of, additional time to relate to my ex. Um, Shortly after we divorced, my oldest daughter had a bat mitzvah where everyone was there. And what I found is my parents did the best they could at being cordial, and that's really all they could offer to the other side, I guess I could call it, to my ex and his family. His family did not say anything to me, and
Oh,
so
what?
and again, that is not about me. Talk about triggers. I must have triggered something in them by them seeing me that they couldn't handle it. And so, they also didn't support a lot of the things during the marriage. Like, I'm a working mom, I'm a career woman. I believe in both parties participating. I'm not old school or traditional. And that's how, they were. So, it's again not about me. And I did not take it personally. I thought it was interesting and I observed what was going on, but I tried not to let it get into my emotional well being.
This message was sent in by Dana Weber, so I just wanted to mention by Dana Weber. So okay, so you've been together and all that. It's amazing, and it's beautiful that your granddaughter gets to see. I guess that she get to see. Do you still see your bonus children?
Not so often at events. I mean, one's off to college. They're living in other states right now, so not too often, but certainly as much as we can.
And do they see your bio children? And do they see each? Maybe
Once
not
in a
you as
while.
a parent,
Once in a while.
yeah,
Yeah,
they
not
see
not a whole lot.
not a whole lot. One of the biggest arguments was about money. Did you have a lot of arguments about money?
I'm a rarity. We did not. Uh,
All right.
we did not, and we still don't. We co-parent in that way successfully in sharing the expenses of our children. Now, one's 24 and the other's 20. Um, and we're still sharing in some of the expenses. The 20-year-old's in college. The
Correct.
24-year-old has some needs. She has a child. She's a young mom, so we support her as well. But I know, when I've complained to friends about the little pebbles that I've had to step on or step over, I hear, "Oh my gosh, you have no idea how lucky you are." And I know that this is rare, that people do
It is.
fight over many things. And, children sometimes are in therapy. One party agrees to the therapy, the other part doesn't think the child needs therapy. There's a lot of
Exactly.
these. types of discussions. And so, we did have our battles, but this wasn't one of them.
Well, I totally agree with you, and I think we need to emphasize on this: the money that is given to the former spouse is not about the former spouse, because people think that they're giving the money so she or he can have a better life, but it's about the child's needs. Right. It's about balance. The way I see it, and I also wrote it in my book, Co-Parenting Harmony, Creating a Ripple Effect. It's about balance. It's about having the same lifestyle in both homes. So, yes, sometimes we feel that we're being how can I say it? Some of us think that we're being taken to the cleaners or whatever, but it's just about balance. It's about, so your child can have the same lifestyle in both homes, and your child, when they go to college, will not be deprived of fulfilling their dreams or fulfilling their profession because one parent is against the other parent. No, you're both working together. So you know what? Kudos to you. I am so proud of you. Congratulations. No, really, I am really proud of you because you really focus. It's about the kids. It's not about your emotions, it's about the kids. I have another question here from Nancy. Question for both of you. How do you co-parent with an ex who has no interest in working together? Good question.
Yeah, that's a great question. And, because I'm a parent coach, I work sometimes in this realm with a parent who has an ex-spouse who won't be part of it, who doesn't want to engage in parenting together, separately. And so, really one parent who does the best they can to support the children, to keep things even keel, to not be negative, has huge impact, not dump the emotions on the child, not fight in front of the child, can create a huge impact for that child to grow and thrive. You cannot control another person. You cannot control what goes on in another household. And so you part ways and let that be all it is. You don't want to bring your feelings of how they are parenting or not parenting into the realm of your children. Your children will see it clearly. They'll see it.
Yeah, I'll add in something. What I suggest to my clients is parallel parenting. Mm-hmm. At the moment. Now they're not ready because eventually they'll get on the board. They'll get on the boat. But right now they're not ready. So parallel parenting, meaning that what happens in his house or her house, it's their house. And if they need to really communicate about emergencies, then an email will be sent off. So the best way to answer the question to Nancy, if they have no interest of working together, fine. Temporary parallel parenting, because kids want to see their parents eventually at their graduation party or at their prom. They want to see their parents together because when they get their certificate and they walk down the podium, they're going to say, okay, who should I go see first, mom or dad or mom? Oh no, if I go see dad, mom's going to get mad. If I go see mom, so they're in conflict of loyalty. So right now, to start off, they don't want to work together, fine, parallel parenting. If an emergency is important, whatever info, share the info through email. And then eventually, when they'll meet at the baseball game or if they meet at a soccer field, eventually they will come about and have at least a civil dialogue. Yes. So I have someone else here. It says, yes, for me, emails were the best things. We're tense, but I have friends who have ex-spouses who do not even respond. Yeah, well, that's it. I can answer to that. Dana, responses should be, like we said earlier, Sue, respect the other parent. Within 24 hours, please respond, because you're not responding to the mother or the father of the child. You're responding to your child's needs. Right. Think about it. If you're not responding, how damaging are you going to be? How damaging it's going to be towards your child, right? You're hurting your child. Do you have any comments to add to that, Sue?
I do. I think, you can add into the email, this is about, Jane or John or whoever your child is. Make it focused on the child. Again, you cannot control another person. So whether they respond to you or they don't respond to you, or they parent in it, unconventional way that you don't agree with, you have no control over that. And so your best bet is just to do what you can do for your children and not bring that, that emotion into play with your kids. But, tailor your emails very carefully and gently to foster a connection to the children, that the email is about the children and the children's well-being. And that's all you can do. That's all you can do. It's a
I mean,
process.
even if the parent doesn't want to respond, at least you inform the parent, because,
Sure.
you know, he or she is the parent, the father or the mother of the child. And, you know, it's as a duty, it's our duty as a parent to inform the other parent of whatever decision that needs to be taken, example, hospital or you know, whatever. And if the other person doesn't want to respond, well, at least it was informed. So, okay, well, it's a wrap up. It's been half an hour. I didn't want to go more than that. I just want to emphasize there's a pre-sale going on right now about the book, and go on my website, www.giannone.com, and buy a copy now. Because on June the 14th, it will be live internationally on Amazon. So, and I want to say once again, Sue, thank you for your story. And I'm sure it will help other people to see the bigger picture and help them to keep moving forward. So thank you for coming on. Thank you for
May I add something?
Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I would just like to say how courageous you are to put this book together and how important this book is for people in this world to read. And so, you know, number one, I'm honored to be part of it. And number two, I'm really thankful that you wrote this book to help so many people. So thank you for that.
Thank you. And keep doing the amazing work out there. We need amazing people to help others to do better and to live a beautiful, harmonious life.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye, everybody. Thank you for being in. Thank you. Bye-bye.